Can plants learn? It seems like this is a very straightforward question with a seemingly easy answer. Of course, plants cannot learn because they don't have a nervous system and subsequently no brain. This then leads to another question. Is a nervous system a requirement for learning? Which in this lab, we saw that a nervous system wasn't a requirement for learning. Plants have a sophisticated calcium-based signal network in their cells, which has been found to increase in response to many psychological stimuli such as light, touch, plant hormones, and abiotic stresses, including high salinity, cold, and drought. In other words, plants have these calcium in their leaves, causing it to know automatically that the plant needs water and sunlight to survive. So if they are put in a position, then the plant will learn to adapt to get what it needs. Problem: can plants learn to position themselves to be in sunlight? If plants are put in a place where their source of sunlight is far from them, then the plant will learn to adjust in a position in a certain angle to go towards the sun, because a plant uses the energy to undergo photosynthesis to create its food.
Experimental design. Independent variable. Angle of the light. Dependent variable. If the plant bends towards the light / to one side. Trial 1. Control. The plant that has light directly above it. Constants: plant type, amount of water, fertilizer type, and temperature. Materials: fertilizer, seeds, light, water, measuring cup, vase for plants. Start by gathering all the materials you need for the experiment: fertilizer, plant vase, seeds, measuring cup, and water. Then get 1 cup of fertilizer into each cup and pat it down so it is flat. After, get 4 seeds for each cup and cover them with a little bit of fertilizer that's already in there. Once the seeds are covered, add another 1/2 cup of fertilizer to each cup and pat it down so it is flat. Afterwards, get 1/4 cup of water and add it to each cup. Make sure to do this every day. Finally, place 1 cup in front of the window that faces the sun only on one side, and the other plant in a dark room, and another outside where it will receive the sun all around all day. As the plant grows, measure the angle of the plant to see if it's leaning towards one side more than the other from its original position.
Day 1 and Day 2. For either plants, the bend was not noticeable. On Day 3, the plant started to bend slightly for the experimental plant. On Day 4, the bend continued for the experimental plant towards the light. Also, the plant that controlled started to bend very slightly towards the light. On Day 5, the bending continued on the experimental plant, but it had no specific change in any of the plants, along with the status and the condition. The control plants seemed to keep growing up straight, but leaning slightly to the right. The control group, the one that had the light directly above, didn't bend towards the light, and the experimental group did because it only received light on one side, and it needs light, so that's why it moved.
Conclusion: the results of this experiment do support the hypothesis. This can be observed in how the plant arches in the direction to sustain an adequate supply of light from inside the shoebox. The reason why this occurs is because of the photohormone called auxin. A higher frequency of auxin can be located on the plant opposite the side of the source of light. The higher frequency of auxins cause the cell's walls to break down, ultimately elongating the cells. Due to the elongation of the cell walls, the plant bends due to one side becoming longer than the other, as seen in our data. This movement of the plant concludes that plants do have the learning capacity even without a nervous system, as stated before. To create a more reliable experiment, more trials would have been beneficial so we can validate our hypothesis. Now on to the post-lab. For the first question, identify the hormone of the behavior you measured. The hormone that is responsible for phototropism is auxin. Now for the second question, identify the structure and cell type responsible for secreting this hormone and describe how the cells responded to accomplish the behavior you measured. Well, auxin is a plant hormone produced in the stem tip that promotes stem elongation, inhibit growth of lateral buds. Also, auxin moves to the darker side of the plant, causing the cells there to grow larger than corresponding cells on the lighter side of the plant.
The podcast Smarty Plants explain experiments conducted by the scientist Monica Gagliano. These experiments are evidence that plants can learn without a brain. Monica did an observation on the water pipe that was shaped like an upside-down Y. One side had no water and the other was just moisture. Plant roots could choose two ways to go. You'd think that about 50% of the time, roots would go both sides, but after 5 days, she saw that 80% of the time, the plant turned its roots toward the side that felt more moisture. Similar to our hypothesis, we stated that the plant will lean towards sunlight for photosynthesis. In this case, the plant roots move towards what helps them with photosynthesis, water. The sunlight in this part of the observation was not included, but having water present showed what measures roots will take to find its resources and needs. From this, it shows that plants learn and find ways that will help them stay alive. Monica later on conducted an experiment where she had roots of a plant and two MP3 players. One of them was playing the sound of water and the other was playing nothing. She found out that the plant roots somehow tended to go towards the water sound with no actual water present. It's as if the plant recognized the sound of water. Once again, in order for the plant to survive, it needs its resources. The roots will grow or move towards the water so it can help it with photosynthesis. Similar to sunlight, water will make it lean for the energy it needs. Without water nor light present, photosynthesis is impossible, and so is a plant. Lastly, another experiment by Monica was tested. A pea plant was placed in an environment with light, controlled temp, and a fan. The fan was placed right next to the light. Monica observed that the pea plant tended to lean towards the fan and light. So she moved the light and fan to the other side of the plant. The plant then leaned towards the side with the fan. What she did next was she left the plant alone with nor the fan nor light for a few days. Then she only placed the fan and realized that the plant steadily leaned towards the fan. They believe that eventually light will come near the fan. This experiment was sharp to our evidence a plant will lean to sunlight for its own needs. In order for photosynthesis to occur, you'll need sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide. In this case, carbon dioxide wasn't shown that much. Water and sunlight were such a huge importance to plants. Plants are smart and have learned ways to stay alive. They will lean, move, or grow towards places that will benefit them. My group's plant did the same thing by leaning to sunlight.